Okay, good evening, everyone. It is officially 5:30, so if we can have the board members have a seat really quickly. And one of the customs is to try to motivate everyone to either mute their phones or they could turn it off. I'm doing that right now. Okay, great. And so we're going to go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Mr. Tillman's on his way. Okay, so for the Pledge of Allegiance, I'm going to go ahead and ask one of the students to, Jocelyn? Where's? Oh, they moved your chair. Okay. She's our student board member. If you could do the pledge. Could you lead us in the pledge? Thank you. Go ahead.
Please stand. Ready, begin. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may now be seated.
Okay. For the adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, before we do that, I'm going to go ahead and pull item for closed session 10.15. Anybody else? Any other comments? If not, let's go ahead and do we have to readjust them? That's fine? Just 10.15. Okay, so I'm pulling the 10.15 to discuss in closed session.
You're adding it to our closed session.
Yes, I am adding it to the closed session item. Okay. There's two things we can do. We can pull it, or we can just keep it on the agenda and just have the closed session. Yeah, pulling it to discuss. Okay, so then let's go ahead and call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Okay, motion carried.
And Madam President, just for
Yes.
clarification, you're pulling it, and the only reason why we're discussing it in closed session is because of the
Attorney.
legal ramifications, right?
Yes,
Okay.
just for legal ramifications. Thank you for clarifying that. And then 1.4, inspirational message, Mr. Tillman.
Yes, let me see, are my Holcomb? Okay, so I'm gonna have my Holcomb students come up, but first I wanna just congratulate the superintendent and assistant supes and all the district staff. You know, the county, and I guess it's the county, the school district, and workforce development are working together with this Generation Go. And so my office, Information Services Division for Human Services, we have 5 of those students in our office. So some are doing graphic designs, some are actually doing business systems analysts. They want to be project managers, and all the students so far have been very sharp. But when I met with the first 2 students, I asked them, did they know about the Chromebook program? And one of the sharpest students, he pulled out his Chromebook and his Wi-Fi device. And I mean, he has excelled in technology. And it's because of the opportunities we've afforded students to have that technology in their hands that makes a big difference. So I just want to, it just reaffirms that we're doing the right thing, and I hope we continue to do it and get the word out and continue to get the word out to all households. I know people watch this on TV, that you can have a computer and access to the internet, and all you have to do is contact the district's website. I know because I used it. You can go to the website, click on it, and call the 1-800 number, or you can contact your site administrator, your principal at your school.
Madam President, I want to publicly thank Mr. Tillman, because he's the one that opened the doors at the county for our kids. And I remember that you said, well, I would like to see that we get students to be apprentices in our, not only in our county, but even in our school district.
Exactly.
That's what you stated. So I want to acknowledge that publicly.
Thank you.
That you are visionary.
Yes.
And of course, Dr. Marsden, you followed through with it, so, and cabinet. So I think it's wonderful.
It makes a huge difference.
Right.
And the one student, he asked me, how do I get on full time?
Right.
And I took him to the website and printed out some positions that he can qualify
Wow.
for, and
Yeah.
and as he goes, he can be working these jobs as he goes to college. But it's just, it opens up a whole world they knew
Right.
nothing about.
And the opportunities, and we're right here, and there's,
Yes.
kids didn't even know about it.
Exactly.
So I think that's wonderful.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right,
Now,
so-
the students I have, introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Jonathan Vargas, and I'm in 6th grade at Bob Holcomb Elementary.
My name is Monique Vargas, and I'm from Holcomb, and I'm in the 6th grade.
And they were the Black History Bee champions. And the Black History Bee is hosted by one of, we can give them a round of applause.
Congratulations.
The Black History Bee is hosted by an organization that Dr. Hill is affiliated with. What is it, Phi Delta Kappa, is that right?
National Sorority of Phi Delta Kappa,
Excuse me.
Delta Road Chapter, San Bernardino, California.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. And they do great work. And I've been doing it for 24 years that I've been on the board. But these students are going to recite poems. So after you take your picture, I want you to give me 2 poems, all right? And you could be one short one and one long one, but it's up to you. But give me 2 poems. And this is just the way they acted at the Black History Bee. She was bossing him around. Go ahead.
So can I see the first one? Can I see the first one?
Freedom will not come today this year to compromise and fear. I have as much right as the other fellow has to stand on my own 2 feet and own the land. I tire so of hearing people say, let things take their course. Tomorrow is another day. Freedom is a strong seed planted in great need.
Go ahead. You're a team. You can help finish.
I do not need my freedom when I am dead. I cannot live on tomorrow's bread. Freedom is a strong seed planted in great need. I live here too. I want freedom just as you.
All right.
Great job. Good job.
And one more.
Does it dry up like a raisin in the sun or fester like a sore?
And then run. Does it stink like rotten meat and crushed in sugar over like a syrupy sweet? Maybe it just sags like a heavy load, or does it explode?
And what poem was that?
Harlem, what happens to a dream deferred?
All right.
That's good.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate you.
All
Good
right.
job, students.
Thank you so much. And I know it's not easy doing it in front of people, but and also knowing the fact that there's cameras pointing at you and then you can see yourself in front, so it's not an easy task. And you both did amazing, especially the teamwork. So thank you, Mr. Tillman, for bringing this forward, and they did great.
And I want to thank the coaches. Are the coaches, any coaches here? But I want to thank them too, because I know it takes a lot of time and effort, so I really appreciate the extra effort that the coaches put in. Congratulations to you.
Thank you so much for that. That was great. We're going to go ahead and go to 2.1, recognition of academic decathlon team. We have Linda Bardier, if you can go ahead and come forward, and if board members can come in front so we can congratulate the team.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today as we honor San Gregorio High School for its strong 5th place finish at the recent San Bernardino County Academic Decathlon. We will begin by honoring the students, then we will honor the coach and the volunteers who dedicated countless hours to help students prepare for this very tough academic competition. At this time, I invite San Gregorio High School Principal, Ms. Dion Clark, and any of her fellow administrators to please join us up front. Okay, students, I'm going to invite the academic decathlon team members to please come forward as a group. Begin on the side where our photographer, Karina Borsic, is, and that way you can greet all of our wonderful school board members and our superintendent. Don't be shy. Make your way up front. And I'm going to introduce the members of the varsity team. Ashley Alvarado, Jason DiTullio, Brianna Green, Carolina Hochbaum, Matthew Jackson, Jason Jackson, Athena Vo, Destiny Wright, and Osiel Zavalaza. So those are the varsity team. Let's give them a round of applause. And our students, you're going to stay up here because we're going to take a wonderful group picture. Now we will introduce our junior varsity team. They should be already up here. Kaylani Caldwell, Kimberly Douglas, Dennis Vaughn, Aaron Rodriguez, Jenny Rosales, Yvonne Ta, and Jeffrey Uman. Let's give the JV team a big round of applause. We had so many outstanding students that there was also an alternate team, and those members should also be up here to be honored. Elvis Bowie, Tony Bowie, Destiny Enriquez, Caitlin Liu, Xochitl Vega, and Ethan Vo. Let's give the alternates a big round of applause. As you know, the team could not have achieved 5th place without the help of their dedicated coach, Ms. Irene Awad Shendi. Would you please come forward? Thank you, Mrs. Shendi. She spent many hours preparing and encouraging students every step of the way. In addition to Coach Irene, I would like to invite the following volunteers to come forward. Tina Bowie, Amina El-Zatma, Rhonda Force, Carol Galindo, Bradley Horton, Mahalani Njirmang, Jose Patino, Chinipa Pennypring, Robert Rock, and Patricia Shaw El Zatma. Those are our volunteers. Let's give them a big round of applause. We're going to take one nice picture to commemorate their outstanding 5th place finish. Yeah, make sure you can see the cameras. There's lots of them. It's your paparazzi moment. Audience, let's give them another big round of applause. This is an amazing accomplishment. All right. And this concludes special recognitions for tonight's school board meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
All right, everyone, congratulations. This should show that we are doing amazing things in our school district. Congratulations to our Spartans from San Gregorio High School, and of course, our amazing principal, Dion Clark. So thank you so much for all your work. We're gonna go ahead and go to closed session items. Closed session. Were there any public comments for closed session? No. No? Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and convene, go to closed session. Just know that we should be back. We don't have a time yet? 6:45, around 6:45. Okay, thank you. Okay. All right, we're just waiting for a few board members to join us so we can move forward. Thank you for your patience. So then we have the board members, we have enough for a quorum, so let's go ahead. I will now open the public hearing. No, wait, are we there? No, we will reconvene to open session. Now 5.0, which is public hearings, I will now open the public hearing. And then 5.1, public hearing for ASA Charter School. Are there any comments or?
Double checking, Madam President, and I do not believe we have any on this
I see
specific
someone
topic.
coming up to the podium.
We do have someone on this topic.
Is this
and
for
here
the
she is.
ASA?
Yes.
Very
Okay.
good, welcome.
ASA Charter
So if you can give
School.
your name.
Susan Lucy, I'm the principal.
Okay.
And I believe, did everybody get the handout? Oh, here she comes. I will not be long. We will not take up much of your time this evening. We left the marching band at home, and the multiple parents that wanted to speak, although I have one group here tonight, one person here tonight. But I put together this fact sheet because I thought maybe it would be an easier way to give you a general overview of where ASA Charter School stands at the moment. ASA, just briefly to go over it, ASA first opened in 2004 and moved into the current address in 2008. Our current enrollment is, as of today, actually 272. So we've gone up a few. We are WASC accredited. This year we are beginning our self-study for the visit in 2019-20. We have a K through 8 traditional model. The school up until 3 years ago was all seat time for high school too. But for high school, that didn't work for ASA. We now have a 9 through 12 independent study. All courses are now A through G accredited. And we are offering honors and AP courses now too, which we're very proud of. All teachers, 18 teachers, are credentialed, and we do have a high school counselor, which has helped tremendously. Strong parent group, although that's still growing. Homeless and foster student liaison, and we do have 33 families that take advantage of whatever our services, what we can offer. We have a very strong college career readiness program. All students in high school take 4 semesters of college career readiness basic, sort of a high school, a career exploration, etc. And we offer a really cool culinary arts program now, which the students are enjoying and taking advantage of. And many of them have part-time jobs now because of this. Our next pathway will be our business and marketing pathway, and that we're going to start in middle school. And so we're excited about adding that. We have a new school website, which we worked on very hard, and it's looking good. We partnered with the Inland Career Education Center, and we're working with Gateway College. We have early start and free and after school program, and this year we've applied for an ACES grant, and we'll be adding more enrichment classes for our kids. Free breakfast and lunch program, free tutoring for all students. ASA, we consider, is a very safe and secure school, and we do have on-campus security. It's a closed campus. We have a very solid guest speaker program. We do have EL services, and we do have special ed services that we partner with the district for. We have an increase in our graduation rate. We have had no expulsions in 3 years, and our suspension rate is lowered significantly. We went through a multi-measure review this year with CCSA, the California Charter School Association, and we passed that. So in my opinion, and I believe in my parents' and students' opinion, ASA is a good school to go to. It's a great little school. We're not huge, but we are growing. And we're very proud of who we are and how far we've come. And I just going to bring up, if that's okay with you, a couple of people to share their opinions and feelings about the school. But I have warned everybody to keep it to a minute or two. Thank you. So first is Mr. Bailey, who is a 6th grade teacher.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Ms. Hill, I read your article every Sunday. So I have a couple of them on my desk at school right now. My name is Keith Bailey. I've been an educator in public schools since 1974. Yes, I'm that old. By the way, I am a graduate of Pacific High School, so I am from San Francisco Unified School District. You got you another pirate, I hope? Yeah? Okay. This year I was extremely fortunate to receive a teaching position at the charter school at ASA. I admit I knew little about the charter school at that time, okay? I was very excited about the fact that the class sizes were small and that we had really good access to materials and services. You see, I was used to having 36 students an hour for 5 hours a day, so I had 180 students when I was teaching in high school, okay? I had 15 to start out, and I now have 19. We have grown. The smaller staff, teaching staff, allows us to have more sharing of ideas and assistance with students. We cooperate with each other, with our students as well. It's a blessing for the teachers to have all that, but there's something I know now that I didn't know before. Smaller class size is an obvious advantage, but after back-to-school nights and a couple of parent conference periods, which we had at the end of each trimester, I was able to talk to the parents about what they felt. And here were their concerns. Parents talked about unruly behavior sometimes in some of the public schools and also safety concerns at those schools. I have had 5 new students in my classes, and I've asked each one and their parents, and they've said they've had similar things. Parents and students want and need an alternative to public school. We know that, okay? Let's face the facts also, not every young person is made for a large public school situation. The smaller school and the smaller process is good for them. I feel my students have thrived, and the students at ASA have thrived over these past years and the past months I've been there. Charter schools are a choice. We live in a society of choices. ASA Charter Schools allows us one of those choices. Thank you.
Excuse me, what grade do you teach?
6th.
Thank you.
And tell you what, it's a lot of fun. Have a good time. You betcha.
Thank
Okay,
you.
next I'd like to bring up Mrs. Pilgrim, Jamie Pilgrim, who is a parent of 2 young ladies at our charter school.
Hello, my name is Jamie Pilgrim. I am mother to 2 girls at ASA Charter School in the 3rd grade and the 4th grade, and we're our 2nd generation charter family. So back in 2004, we had my niece there. She's actually attending Alabama, Tuskegee right now, and she started at ASA. Now my daughters go there, and we've been there since kindergarten. ASA offers full-day pre-K, before school program, after school program, which is amazing for a single working mother. It's a small community, so that's where the safety comes in, because all of us know each other by first name. Our office administrators know me. Like, when I come in, I don't have to, they don't have to scrimmage to figure out who I am. They already know who I am. The communication there is very good because we do have a very small population, so our community there. So communication across the board, everyone is in the know, or I feel like we're in the know, and we have security, so I always feel like my girls are secure, and it just feels like family. ASA to me is like an extended family. Like, if I'm going through something, if I have a bad day at work or whatever, like, the staff is just right there, like, to give me a hug. They all know it's a very personal, close to home. I love ASA. I've actually taken them out when I moved a little further. I took them out of ASA, and we didn't even last a year. No, we came back within that same school year, just because it's not the same. I love that my girls are in a smaller class, so they get that one-on-one attention. The teachers are on point. We have class dojo, so I get like alerts throughout the day. We have field trips. I love the awards assembly, the Christmas program. Like, everything is just so active. They're so involved, and they care, and that was the big thing. I'm not just another parent in a school. Like, this is like a family. So go ASA.
And I have, I'm going to ask Alex Hernandez to come up very quickly. Alex is a recent graduate of ASA. In fact, she spent half her life at ASA.
Hi, good evening. My name is Alexandra Hernandez. I am a graduate from ASA Charter School. In fact, I was salutatorian. I am here to talk to you guys tonight that I had spent my entire early educational years at ASA. ASA for me is not just, I'm sorry, it's not a school for education, but it's a family to me. They have been there for me through personal reasons, personal tragedies, I'm sorry. Now I am working there part-time at ASA. I work in the day camp area, the after-school program, and I just love it. Yeah, sorry. Excuse me.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Great job.
All right, and our last person, the mother is here. She's written a letter. So I'm going to read it, if that's okay, and I'm going to bring up the young man that this letter is about. Here he is, Maddox. This. All right. You want to say hi?
Maybe if you can come forward to the side, there you go, so we could see him. Oh, but then the TV world can't see him. Oh, wait, there you go, perfect. See, there you go.
Hello, my name is Maddox and I'm in 3rd grade. I like ASA and I feel secure and safe there.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Great job, good job.
Okay, you want to stay with me while I read this letter, or you want to sit down? Okay, good. All right, so letter says, to whom it may concern. My name is Beverly Betts, and I'm the proud parent to Maddox Castro, a 3rd grade honor roll student in attendance at ASA Charter School in San Bernardino. Maddox has been attending ASA since kindergarten, and we wouldn't have it any other way. ASA has helped my family in so many different ways, both emotionally and with my son's diagnosis and physically. During my son's first year in attendance with ASA, Maddox was diagnosed as type 1 diabetic. The support that we received in regards and continue to receive from the staff has been tremendous. The teachers and students were intrigued and interested in learning more about his condition, and it turned something so unfamiliar and unsure into something familiar and positive for our family. The research and training from the staff was extremely helpful, and Maddox was able to continue being the amazing, outstanding little man that he is. The teachers and staff here at ASA Charter School make our family feel safe and welcomed. The smaller classroom size gives my child the attention that he and every other child in attendance deserve from their teachers and the staff. I feel especially with Maddox's condition that he is safe, the proper care is given, and that he is well taken care of. I fully support ASA Charter School in their growth and have recommended this school to many families. I will continue to spread the word and can only hope to see the future of the school continue to grow and help many more students and families. Sincerely, Beverly Betts. Okay, so, and I, of course, am very proud of our school, of my teachers, of our kids, and I appreciate the opportunity to share some of that with you this evening. So thank you for listening.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And one of the questions, Dr. Flores, go ahead.
Thank you for coming, Maddox. It's very nice to see you. I just have a couple of questions. I've been asking what ASA stands for.
Well, that was probably my first question when I went there, too.
Yeah.
It actually, the lady that initially started the school, it was her father's name.
Oh, okay, so it stands for him.
And
okay.
it doesn't,
ASA.
yeah.
Okay, great. And I wondered if you also had a graduation rate? What your...
this year I had a percentage, we increased our graduation rate this year 22.4%.
Okay.
Now, we're not huge.
Right.
But we are definitely on the up. So
On the up. Okay, great.
This year, we probably have at the moment about 65 students in high school.
Uh-huh.
And this year, we'll probably graduate about 15.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but you did say how long you've been in our district. Did you?
Me?
No, how
how
many
long
years?
the school's
ASA?
been? Yeah, since 2004.
2004, yeah, I missed
And
that.
at the current
Okay.
site since 2008 or 9.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for all the work that you do.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you so much,
All right.
Dr. Marsden. Was there
Yeah.
any other?
No other comments on this topic.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will now close this public hearing. Okay, going to 6.0, student board member comments. There's unfortunately the board members had to leave, which is a good thing because that means they're back home doing their work, their schoolwork. 7.0, public comments. This is a time during the agenda when the Board of Education is prepared to receive comments from members of the public on any matter within its subject matter jurisdiction. The time limit for public comment by 6 or more individuals on one topic is 30 minutes. Dr. Marsden, are there any comments? And just before Dr. Marsden calls, I just want to note that there is a timer right behind us, so if you could note that, and then you most likely will be buzzed at the 5-minute mark. All right, Dr. Marsden?
Thank you, Madam President. So there are a number of public comments. There are 2 specific comments that are listed for items 8.1 and 10.15 respectively. And so just so the public's aware, when the board comes to those items, they will discuss the items, staff will respond to that discussion, then we'll call up for public comment after the board's had that discussion and answered all their questions among staff. And then once the public comment is made, the board may discuss with staff further, but just want you to know the process. So first tonight under general public comments, we'll call first is Public Safety Academy. Charter School Spotlight is their topic. Welcome and good evening. And then we'll ask Mr. Alfredo Aguero to be up on stage, and then up on deck, next speaker after Public Safety Academy. And then we have Miss Angela Loero and guests present after that. Maria Rodriguez will follow by Troy Mondragon and Linda Hart.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jennifer Stickle, and I'm the principal at Public Safety Academy. And this evening, I have brought some of my 8th graders to tell you a little bit about what's been going on at Public Safety Academy Charter School. So I'd like to introduce to you Ruby, Angel, Sandra, Juan, Alexandra, Lynette. Oh, and Richard didn't come, so he's here with us in spirit. And Lynette.
PSA prepares us if we want a future career in public safety. Some of the careers we focus on at PSA are police, fire, and military. Some of the high school electives that PSA offers are police dispatch, corrections, law and justice, emergency medical response, and fire protection services.
Over the summer, we are given the opportunity. Over the summer, we are given the opportunity to take a third class that stands for Community Emergency Response Team. We learn how to handle large-scale emergency situations such as major earthquakes or fire, and what to do while waiting for a rescue crew to arrive.
Another good thing about PSA is the hands-on fire training we get each month. We are able to go outside and practice hooking up and spraying the fire hoses. We get to try on the fire gear and learn about the parts of the fire engine we have on our campus.
Our teachers at PSA are thoughtful and have high expectations for us. My favorite class is English because I love to write. I feel like my English teacher is pushing me and preparing me for college. Recently, our entire class increased our in-terms test scores through hard work and practice.
I think the school has great communication with students and parents. Our parents are always contact the Parent Square when there are events or meetings. There is good communication with students as well. Students can email their teachers whenever we need something, and our teachers will always get back to us.
At our school, we follow the 6 pillars of character, which are trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. We follow these pillars because we believe having good character is as important as a good education.
So just so you all know, I had my volunteers who wanted to participate with me tonight. I had them sit down and write out what they wanted to say, and that was it. So this is all in their own words and thoughts. And if you have any questions for them, please feel free to ask. But on behalf of PSA, thank you for your support, and we're happy to continue being partners in San Bernardino together. So thanks for having us.
Thank you for coming tonight. Well done, students. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Board welcomes Mr. Alfredo Aguero. Good evening, welcome.
Hi, good evening. First, I have to say thanks for all the help we've been having for the events we have in special education. I have to mention that I have to change the name of on the logo. I take out ICUC from it, and now is the group Parents, Empowering Parents on the Special Education in San Bernardino. And it's a reason for that. I came to ask to find the truth about the situation I get, thanks to Mr. Tom Dolan from ICUC Pico Director and San Bernardino City Unified School District personnel. The arguments that Mr. Dolan used to get me out of ICUC Pico was that two persons from San Bernardino Unified School District called him with some complaints. I get a meeting with one of these persons, and she told me that they never called Mr. Dolan with no complaints. According to her, Mr. Dolan requested for a meeting with them. So he told them, and the arguments was that people was complaining about me. He told me that I can represent myself as ICU Pico member, and I can work in the special education area anymore. As you see, are two different stories, and I want to be clear on this issue because this is hurting my personal life and work. So please, I'd like to mention that I try and with emails, with you, Mr. Martin, with you, Mr. Flores, I talk to you, and I try to set up a meeting with them because it's not fair that what I'm doing is to help the parents to advocate for themselves, for the kids. And people is coming to stop somebody who is helping, even to the district, because this is not to hurt the district. When we help the parents to help the kids, we help each other. Mm-hmm. So I've been trying to talk, to see if it's possible to set up a meeting with everybody on the table and make everything clear. I don't look to hurt anybody. I just try to save myself. Because these people in another district has mentioned this issue. I don't know how it goes there. I know I'm a public servant. I know I'm a part of the public, and they can say things about me. But if somebody invents stories, it's not fair. I like to clear this, and if it's possible, to give me a date to get a meeting with the persons I mentioned in the emails, but I want Mr. Tom Dolan and Mr. Sergio Luna on the table because they are the ones who all make all this mess, because it's a mess. They take me out of ICUC with arguments on the board, on ICUC board meetings, twice, without giving me the opportunity to defend myself. And I said to everybody, even the worst criminal got a chance to represent themselves on court or to get somebody, a witness. That's an opportunity I didn't have. I give them that opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aguero.
Thank you.
Board welcomes Miss Angela Loera and Cassandra Andother. And they want to come and speak with us about the SLIC program. Good evening and welcome. Glad you're here.
Good evening. My name is Cassandra Felix. Put the mic up to your... Okay.
Yeah, unfortunately, you kind of have to eat it almost, just a little bit. Act like that. Yeah, you get real close to your mouth when you're talking. Just switch off when you're ready. Yeah.
I know. My name is Angela Loera.
We have a quick question about SLIC. We would like to know if it is approved for San Bernardino High School.
So I think if you're speaking to the topic that's on the agenda tonight, the board hasn't gone to that topic yet. It's under our consent calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So it's later in the agenda. Yeah. So we're considering that this evening. That's being considered by the board this evening. So tonight, they will consider that item.
I got it. Unfortunately, we have to leave because we have our SATs tomorrow.
Yes.
So we have to go home and cram.
Yes, you do.
But we would like to let you know that it is really sad when students ask us if Slick is going to come back, and we have to respond with, we're not sure. And they think that we're supposed to be the one to have the answers, but we don't know what to say. And we don't want to look like the bad guys and say, well, we don't know, you have to go ask yourself.
Well, I can help you. So what you do tonight is after you're done cramming, the last thing you do before you go to bed is watch the video, and you'll see how the board votes, and you'll be able to have an answer for them tomorrow.
Okay.
There you go.
I'll look forward to that.
There you go. All right, great.
But if you do have comments now,
Please,
might as well,
yeah,
please,
this is the point
please,
for the
you don't have
comments.
to wait, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to say thank you for bringing Slick to Arroyo, and thank you for bringing it to Middle College. It has been one of the best experiences of my life. And I know that I can say that many of the other students who went to Slick also think it was a really good experience. And we have many students looking forward to the next Slick, if there is one. Thank you, and have a good night.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. I think there was a parent that wants to speak.
Good evening, board members, Madam President. My name is Lira Cineros Felix. Hope you know me. I just want to give you, tell you a little short story about Slick. My child was part of it, and she's had a tremendous evolution with Slick. But aside from that, personal experience. My short story is about a 16-year-old child that attends one of our high schools, went through Slick. I understand that the counselors are trained through the wellness department to provide assistance or counseling to our students, because that's one of the things that the past committee from DLAC asked for, you know, that our students be taken care of or be considered with their mental health. This student has been suffering from depression and many other issues. Starts missing school, has mood swings, wants to hit mom and whoever crosses her path. Now, mom comes to school and tells the counselor, my child is not feeling well. She's going through some short episodes of depression. Oh, don't worry, ma'am. Your child has perfect attendance. If she has any missing assignments, you can swing by and pick them up later. Don't worry, no worries. No help is provided to the mother. I know this parent. I know this child. My daughter's friend. Who do I go for help? No one else. I remembered that this particular child went through Slick at Arroyo High School. I get in touch with the coordinator, one of the coordinators from Slick, Ms. Consuelo Kickbush. Immediately, she goes and she visits, because this child ended up in behavioral health because nobody in the school provided or offered any help or support. When are we going to change things? Our kids matter. Our kids really matter. And let me just remind you something. All of you, teachers, every personnel in the district has a job, and you're sitting there because the entire San Bernardino City. Thank you. So please consider Slick, because our kids need it. If the district, if the school is not going to help them out, let somebody else provide the help our kids need. Or what is it going to take? A chain of suicides in our schools like it happened in Rancho Cucamonga at the beginning of the school year? Is that what we want? So be it then. Thank you.
Thank you. Board welcomes Ms. Maria Rodriguez on the program for GATE. And I believe she'll have an interpreter. Good evening, buenas noches, bienvenidos.
Buenas noches, mi nombre es María Rodríguez. No hablo mucho inglés, pero tengo a la persona y los datos que tengo ahí para que ella mencione.
Good evening. My name is Maria Rodriguez. I don't speak much English, but I have a translator for tonight to give key points. My key points are regarding evaluating students through their academic levels instead of testing in order to be placed in the GATE program. We need to change the structure to qualify into this GATE program. We want to re-evaluate children who are in the program, and maybe we can change curriculum in order to give more opportunities to other students who can demonstrate their abilities in perhaps language arts or mathematics, for example. 7 years ago, my daughters were evaluated and placed directly into the advanced program. In 3rd grade, they were placed into the GATE program. They did not have to be placed on a wait list like it happens today. Today, there is now a wait list in order to be placed into GATE. We believe that they should evaluate students who have already been enrolled into school and place them into adequate grade levels. And tests are changed last minute when children have already prepared for a previous test. That's happening today. That's all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. I do have, muchas gracias por sus comentarios. I do have where you said that there's a waiting list for the GATE programs. Hay una línea de espera. And I think there was at one point when I first became a school board member was to look at GATE programs as well as the EL because you can't necessarily do both. Is that something, I mean, that's a question for the district later on, but we need to start looking at some opportunities there because if we have a waiting list, yeah, that's an issue. And what school does your child go to? Maybe I didn't hear that. ¿A qué escuela va?
Perdona, Ramona Alessandro.
Ramona Alessandro.
Ajá. Y yo en el distrito, lo que usted está comentando, si es cierto, me dijeron que a pesar de que la niña hubiera pasado el examen, ella iba a estar en lista de espera y no la iban a poner en GATE.
Okay.
Entonces esa es mi frustración porque como ella comentó, los niños, cuando mis hijas fueron evaluadas, fueron directamente a GATE. Ellas estaban en homeschool. Las saqué y las puse a escuela del distrito y en aquel entonces estaba en el Carousel Mall. Ahí mismo le hicieron la evaluación a ellas y les dijeron, ¿sabes qué? Estas niñas van para programa acelerado y de ahí se van para GATE. Pero ahorita ya me están haciendo mucho problema. La niña ahorita tuvo 2 puntos para pasar ese examen y hablé con su maestra y ella dice, ¿sabes qué? Tu hija académicamente va bien, que hubiera esta otra estructura.
Excuse me, can someone translate?
Yes. So she said that before, in the past, her 2 daughters were placed directly into the GATE program. There was no wait list. At that time, they tested at the Carousel Mall, actually, and they were enrolled into the GATE program. Now, for example, her daughter has been doing great academically. She tested to be placed into GATE, and she missed the mark by 2 points. So now she's looking at a wait list that takes anywhere from 6 months to 6 years. That's what she was told. And so she's hopefully trying to see what we can do to reevaluate those.
Okay.
Very good. And so we have your contact information, so someone from our offices will reach out and try to understand your specific situation.
And then I'd like to ask Dr. Marsden, maybe the district can clarify, we may not have the information right now, but it'd be good to know if there's, it sounds like the wait list you're talking about is to be tested again. So is there a wait list for testing of GATE? And then 2, is there a wait list to get placed into GATE?
We'll be happy to provide the board with that information.
Thank you, and thank you for coming out.
And Dr.
Thank you
Flores.
so much. Muchas gracias.
Lo voy a decir en español primero. Le voy a preguntar. ¿Estaban en el programa GATE antes?
No.
I asked her if were they in the program before. Were they in the GATE program before? ¿Esta sí?
Ajá. Ellas tenían que haberla evaluado.
She was, sí, ella sí?
No, porque ella nunca me la evaluaron para poder.
Oh, they didn't ever
Oh, okay, so she's saying they never evaluated her. Okay, the one that her daughter that she brought here. Okay, I was just clarifying.
Okay.
Okay,
I
so
thought
you'll follow up, Dr. Okay, I agree with Mr. Tillman. We need to provide a way.
We'll
yeah.
follow up with
And
your
it speaks to
board
what President Medina had said, that we have to open up more spaces for our GATE kids.
We'll dig into it and find out what the needs are.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming tonight. Board welcomes, I think it's Troy Mondragon and Linda Hart. Welcome, good evening. Mental Health Month campus event in May.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
And thank you for having us here. And yes, sir, Mondragon, it's right there. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
I'm also, in addition to being a community member, I'm also a member of the Behavioral Health Commission for San Bernardino County, and a social worker, which this is Social Worker Appreciation Month for everybody who didn't know.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So how many people here know that May is Mental Health Month?
Yep.
Couple people. How many here by a show of hands understand that mental health is extremely important for all of us? Okay, just always like to make sure I'm in the right place. And I know I am, because Gwen and I, we were able to meet at Coffee with Ramos on Saturday and talk more about this. As you all know, it's quite the issue in our communities as well as throughout society right now. I've been working with mental health for years, speaking. I'm 35, I've been doing this for 20 years, so since I was 15. And I've concluded one thing is certain about mental health, that it is the worst subject to talk about. It is very difficult, and where do you begin is often the question. At Cal State San Bernardino, where I completed my graduate work for social work in 2015, we had a couple tragedies there. And in the mental health community, there's several tragedies that we face. Our families deal with, our consumers deal with. It's often suicide, possibly suicide by officer, or losing your life in a fatal interaction with an officer. We unfortunately had both of those incidents, 2011 suicide and 2012 with officer-involved shooting. How do you address mental health? And on top of that, well, as you can see, those little pictures of all those flowers and all those bright smiling faces is exactly what we did at Cal State San Bernardino. And it's with the unwavering support of our social work, School of Social Work, the institution itself, the president, as well as our law enforcement, because these tragedies happen, shouldn't happen, but we need to do whatever we can to prevent them. And so coming out forward with the brightness, the positivity, the kind of carnival-like atmosphere, if you will, is quite the opposite of mental health. You type in mental health on Google. I encourage all of you to do this after and find out what kind of imagery comes up. So we want to really give people the opposite imagery of that. And this year we'll be celebrating our 7th annual campus event. We have it on Cal State San Bernardino, Valley College, Crafton Hills College, National University. We're working with Victor Valley College, a college out in Morongo Basin. And I'm here tonight as a community member, as a social worker, and a member of the Behavioral Health Commission to ask that San Bernardino school district be the first school district to join in this mental health movement on our campuses for May 7th, and that is a Tuesday. All the campuses will be celebrating that day. I understand that the time is relative to each campus, so whenever, but doing it all on the same day and blowing up our social media, having all of this is so empowering, and it addresses not only for our students, but for our faculty, as well as our emergency responders. As I'm sure you all are aware, they deal with a lot of trauma themselves. And so it really is this all-equation positive event that we do, and the hope is doing it year after year after year. Not only will we take away the stigma, but also our little ones will grow up, and it will be a no issue to address their mental health concerns. And again, that's May 7th. It's a Tuesday. It's an all-campus event. I will be reaching out to UCLA. This is planned to go throughout the country, as well as export outside of our country as well. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Linda Hart. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Again, we look forward to participating in this year's event. This will be our first opportunity to do so. But again, when we talk about the students and those challenges and difficulties when it comes to having conversations centered around mental health, we want to be able to open up and have access for them to do that and be creative and to be able to express. Just hearing what the parent had to say earlier about one particular student not having the opportunity to have access, well, we want to be able to open that up by also having vendors there that will be there to give out access, resources, and information on how to be able to help themselves and their families. So again, if there's anything that our organization can do, the African American Mental Health Coalition can do to help those schools that you identify who may want to participate in this activity, please reach out to us, and we'd be more than happy to do so. Again, thank you for listening to us.
Mr.
So,
Tillman, hold on, before Mr. Tillman, Ms. Rogers, Mr. Tillman, and then Dr. Flores.
Thank you for coming. I heard a little bit about this on Saturday, so I was really excited to hear. On what is your ask of us? I'm trying to find out so how the district can support it, because I got the date, we know the date, and Dr. Marsden, I guess, you know, we could get some direction as to how to coordinate, because this is awareness. Again, this is just honoring the awareness of it. So can you kind of clarify that, or, you know, determine what we would need to do?
Yeah, thank you. So what we're looking to have is on the 7th to celebrate, to have some kind of event, some kind of fair on your campuses on the 7th, on Tuesday. In addition to that, incorporating the factors that emphasize happiness and positivity. So we order real-life flowers. We actually have a parade that we take students on throughout the campus, and they hand out flowers as well. So that's some exercise, some positivity. And in addition is having, you know, some of the vendors that can actually be here to hopefully give information. But really it's about cultural competency and whatever it is you need.
Right, and the clarification, this is not impacting the school day. This would be at a coordinated time, has nothing to do with impacting the day or, you know, their instructional time, right?
Absolutely, that's correct.
And then lastly, was there a mention, I think you mentioned this before, you guys are looking to create a resolution or do like you did with the Mental Health Week for schools as well, so that it could be honored?
Thank you for that. Yeah, so we're going to be working with Assemblymember Ramos to bring something forward to establish the first week in May. Bless you. The first week in May as Campus Mental Health Week in the context of May, because, you know, we want to do this year after year, but we understand it may not be feasible for everybody to do it on a particular day. But if we can do it in at least the beginning of the week and take all of May to celebrate mental health is the idea. You're welcome.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes, and I guess and maybe Dr. Marsden, this would be something that we maybe can agendize for a future meeting, because the parent brought up a good question about if they know of a student who has mental health issues, and say if they go to one of our site counselors, I'm sure there's some type of protocol on how it's supposed to work. Be good to hear that. I know I just Googled San Bernardino County and mental health hotline. There's a hotline there for the county and with multiple numbers. One for, of course, it was a crisis, 911, but then they have a 386-8256 number also. But for I guess generally, you know, it'd be good to know for just as school board members, when there is a mental health problem, what is our protocol, who do we contact, and how do we get services to the students? And on this event for May the 7th, I guess what's important to me, if we're going to have an event like this, that we have those kind of questions answered, so if someone takes a courageous step to say, hey, I need some help, then we got to make sure we be able to refer them to someplace and give them the help. You said vendor. I was a little scary about the vendor part, because all vendors aren't free. So, what is it? Right, but I mean, I just want to make sure. I'm sure there are some vendors probably that do charge. Yeah. But there's got to be. I want to make sure that there's clear direction that there's an agency here that can help you for free.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and thank you for asking for clarification. I'm used to campus speak where we just call everybody a vendor, but no, some of those end up being student organizations. Some are already on campus. We have our health center, our psychological counseling center that's out there, our PD that's out there. So that's really up to the school's discretion. I mean, if you have in-house resources, that's what would be preferable. So it was more of a generic term to capture anybody and everybody who shows up with material.
You said everything on the same day. My only question, we have like over 70 sites. That doesn't pose a problem in terms of having the experts. Are there enough experts to go to every campus?
Well, because it's within the campuses, it turns out to be okay, because on our college campuses, there's enough resources on them.
Right.
As far as what that looks like, the logistics of that, I don't see that being a problem. The important part really is emphasizing an event.
Start talking about it.
Yes, sir, and having the lime green ribbons, which I'm wearing, and the flowers, and to begin to change the environment and the culture, but to not run into to anybody's budget or time for that matter.
Thank you.
And I want to remind the board this is a public comment, so Dr. Flores.
Yes. First of all, thank you for coming and alerting us and inviting us to participate. It's a real important issue that we've been dealing with, as evidenced by Angela and Cassandra. I think they're still here. Thank you. Are they still here? Thank you for coming. It is an issue, and I want to know also what our protocol is when parents reach out or students reach out in crises, because they're in crises.
Yeah.
And the fact that they reached out and then are dismissed is not a good thing.
Yeah.
And I also would like to, not now, but maybe you can be in contact with our director, Dr. Rose.
Dr. Lorraine Price.
Dr. Pettis.
Superintendent.
Because, how is it that you can provide services, or we don't know I don't know the services that our families and our students could access from the county? It would be really great to know. I know we're starting it, and we're starting to reach out, but what exactly could, our community, touch on and know precisely what they could do?
Yeah.
Our kids are beginning to reach out, but when they reach out, where do they go?
Yeah.
And what do we do? And that's important.
Absolutely.
And I love that you said we have to change the culture,
Yeah.
because people believe that it's not good to reach out if you're depressed, or if you're feel suicidal, or just feel sad. I mean, what do you do?
Yeah.
And those are feelings and emotions that can take over your whole psyche. And how do our kids get out of it, so that they don't go so deep that they're contemplating suicide,
Yeah.
or harming themselves or harming others. So I really appreciate you coming. And thank you, Ms. Hart. You're always coming before us, and really appreciate it, because it's important. And like Mrs. Cisneros said, our kids matter.
Absolutely.
And it's really important. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
You're
Dr.
welcome.
Flores. Thank you so much for coming down and speaking.
Thank you, board. Thank you.
And I believe that's it for our public comments. Let's go ahead and go to 8.0, administrative reports. 8.1, facilities master plan and financing update. Dr. Marsden, can you introduce the presentation?
Yes, it's my pleasure. So board, tonight, Ms. Christakos and team are presenting an update on the facilities master planning and financing. This is one time that bringing together a subcommittee of the board has been helpful to ensure tonight's presentation anticipates questions you may have as we embark on considerations for modernization, updates, and new construction for the next decade. Throughout the presentation, Ms. Christakos will lay out for the board the advantages of using our existing general obligation bonds, accessing state matching grants, and leveraging redevelopment dollars. After her team's presentation concludes, they would then like to have the board subcommittee comment further or clarify, then open up for questions that you may have as a whole. And then as a reminder, board, we do have one public comment on this item, which we'll entertain after all discussion from the board's concluded. With that, good evening and welcome Ms. Christakos and Mr. Pace and team.
Good evening, board. We're pleased to present you with the district's very first comprehensive district-wide master facility plan and needs assessment plan, and we're going to go over the highlights of those plans with you this evening. We're going to talk about financial analysis and outlooks as we move forward, and some recommendations and next steps as we move into our next board meeting. And for now, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Pace, and he's going to talk about the major plan elements of the master plan.
Good evening, board. I'm excited to be here with you tonight. A little bit of housekeeping. You should have about 3 to 9 items in front of you for tonight's presentation. You have a board book that follows the presentation, and you have 2 presentations, one with notes and one without notes. In November of 2017, we began work on our first long-range facility master plan, and tonight we are pleased to share with you the executive summary of its findings and recommendations. You might be wondering what a facility master plan is. By nature, a facility master plan is a dynamic, long-term conceptual vision that helps guide future spending practices. Master planning makes objective appraisals of existing environments, establishes future planning strategies, mirrors our academic vision and guidelines, and creates physical learning environments. 50% of the world's populations live in urban environments, and by 2050 that number is going to grow to 64%. The need for efficient master planning is now, and the time has never been greater due to the urbanization of the world's population. The success of any facility master plan depends on its strategic framework. The framework of our master plan relies on 4 items. First, educational specifications. Educational specifications align educational instructional practices with physical learning environments. 2, residential growth mitigates demographic shifts over time. 3, needs assessment prioritizes facility improvements. 4, financial plan couples district need with available resources. The amalgamation of these 4 elements into one single body without the loss of individual identity was our greatest challenge. I would like to now provide a little insight into each of the 4 major elements of our master plan. The key to aligning educational and instructional practices with our physical learning environments is through collaboration with key stakeholder across the district. We do this so that we can effectively communicate the district's vision, values, hopes, and aspirations with architects and builders. Educational specifications provide the definition of what to build, and your residential growth determines where and when to build. Demographers studied residential and commercial growth over 3 time periods, 5, 10, and 20 years. In your briefing book, you were provided the 10-year residential development report for your review. That's on pages 18 through 29. These studies project healthy growth for the city and areas in the San Bernardino district. The greatest single year of projected student growth is 2023. Although we have experienced declining enrollment over the last few years, we believe that future residential growth will help offset those declines.
Tom, can I make a comment on the previous slide? You'll see the schools are listed on the side: Cajon, Chavez, Pacuma, Pacific, and San Gregonio. This is where we project some of the building may impact these sites, so we want to be prepared in what we need to do to accommodate any new students moving forward. And as many of you are aware, the Inland Empire is expected to grow. I heard last year about 1.2 million residents over the next 20 years, and we know many of them will make San Bernardino their home.
San Bernardino and Highland.
And Highland. Thank you, sir.
And unincorporated areas of San Bernardino County. Where did we leave off? Sorry. Over the past 10 years, our focus was on the creation of neighborhood schools. Oh, no, slide 7. While educational specifications set the vision and look and feel of our physical environment, the needs assessment defines the condition of existing facilities. It is the first step in bridging the gap between the known and unknown. The needs assessment sets priorities for repair and renovation and determines criteria for solutions so that facility planners can make sound project investments. We estimate the time spent on our needs assessment was over 7,500 hours of work. In front of me, you'll see that we brought our needs assessment with us. What a needs assessment does is it evaluates the physical condition of every one of our schools and then prioritizes them and creates an implementation schedule.
Those schedules have been included in the modernization, as well as maintenance is incorporating those schedules into their routine restricted maintenance. Of course, the need is always greater than the funding, so those needs are prioritized. This board, this district has been very aggressive in accessing state funds. In the past, it's been close to $1 billion building program that this board and district has been a part of. And the emphasis in the past building program was to get the district on a single track. It was on a multi-year track year-round. And that was accomplished by building 14 new schools, 34 new additions, and several modernization projects and other projects. As we move forward, you're going to see that there's going to be an emphasis on modernizing some of our existing schools, as that's where our state eligibility lies, while we continue to watch the impact for any future growth, and we're prepared for students to move into our district.
So as Ms. Christakos was saying, as we move forward, you'll notice the shift. You'll notice the mindset shift of moving away from new construction towards modernizing some of our aged facilities.
And then as we look at how we're going to finance this, we first examine our state funding and our eligibility for capital improvements. This looks, and Tom will go into more detail, at the age of our facilities, upgrading our code compliance. We take into consideration health and safety and other facility assessment improvements, and again, planning for that future shifts in growth. And so accessing that state funding, we have $62 million that we want to access, leverage other local dollars to put those funds into our schools.
One of the keys of our financial plan is maximizing our local funding by securing additional state dollars through the participation of the state school facility program. The state program affords districts the ability to help fund new construction projects or modernizing older campuses. Modernization eligibility requires that buildings be at least 25 years old and that student enrollment supports that need. Modernization projects are funded on a sharing basis, 60% by the state, with the remaining 40% coming from local sources. Of our eligible projects, we believe we have entitlement of $62 million in state matching funds.
This slide illustrates our projected revenue, so we look at the revenue we have on hand from a variety of sources, including our local bond, RDA, and other funds, state funds. And then we're going to go over our priority projects with you in the next couple of slides, and we identify a shortfall. And this is exacerbated by the fact that the state has been very slow to sell bonds. And so although we do have money coming, it's almost 10 years before we receive the majority of those dollars.
2029.
These are the projects that we can accomplish, that we have funds on hand, that we can move forward with. As you can see, the board wanted the artificial turf installations. In fact, we started Cajon today. Several modernizations, our new district police headquarters. You can see some CTE projects as well. I'll give you just a moment to review the list, and you can see that total projected cost of $136.2 million. If we go to the next slide, these are projects we'd like to access as well, and we're going to have our financial advisor come up and talk to you about maybe advancing some of our redevelopment dollars to borrow money until we get the state funds, and we'll refer to those as COPs, Certificate of Participation. And these are the projects that we can do in addition to the first slide. There will be an economy of scale if we can do these projects at the same time, and that's up to the board. You can see, again, additional modernizations, There are grants available for full-day kindergarten. We'd still have to have the match, and we don't know how soon the state match would be available. And so you can see the additional projects on this slide.
And then before you move on, Mr. Tillman, you had a question? Or did you want to wait until you?
No, it's because on this section. So are you saying we have the 40% for these projects, the ones with the shortfall projects?
So based on the rate of state bond sales, we are having to fully fund our projects while we wait for the state to pay its portion of our entitlement.
So the projects that total $136 million, none of that money is going to come from the state's matching?
It will, but it will be a while. We have some cash already on hand that can cover all of the ones on the green slide. Because we had local bonds as well, so from our own bonds.
So let me try another way. So the ones that are in green, you're saying that we have money already?
Yes.
For bonds that we've passed already, and we can make issues and get the money, right?
Yes,
so if you go to your presentation with your notes below, it highlights the revenue that we will pay for the projects in green with. So you should see 4 categories down below.
Mr. Tillman, if you could look at the one that's like this, they have the notes in the bottom, so that way you can use that as a reference. And it's page 13.
Yep.
And that includes the next 2 issuances of bonds, Mr. Tillman.
That has notes in the bottom.
Correct.
So there's 4 available funding sources to fund the green project slide. You have RDA, bonds, Prop 39 funding, and state funds.
Right, so just so I'm clear, even though you have itemized state funding contribution is $43 million, are you telling me we have that or we don't have that?
The state funding will not come to us until roughly the years 2029.
And do we have the required district share, the 29 million, and the additional district share, 62 million?
Yes, sir.
We have those?
Yes, sir.
All right, but you're gonna talk about this proposal to borrow that money?
To fund on the projects on the orange slide.
Which is the next
Orange
page.
or green?
The orange.
Orange. We already have the ones for the green.
So that's what I'm asking. So on page 13, where it says $136.2 million, projected funding breakdown is as follows. And it lists state funding of $43 million. My question is, do we have that state funding?
That's coming. We have enough because of our bond and other available resources to fund that ahead of time. And some of the state, Mr. Tillman, has come on the projects we're already working on.
So that's all I'm be clear. So just so I'm clear, so you're saying that some of it has come, but we're short some of the 43 million?
So let me take another stab at this. Go back to slide 12. Projected revenue of 136 million. You will see the breakdown comes from RDA, bond, Prop 39, and 7.9 million through their CTE grants. That is what makes up our $139 million of revenue through 2024.
Okay.
What we're highlighting on slide 13, and I apologize for the confusion, is that by building these projects, we will access $43.5 million in future state funding, which will come in years 2029. So we have revenue available to pay for projects in green. The state will eventually pay us back. If you want to think about it like your taxes, we've filed our taxes, we've showed that we're owed a refund. The government, unfortunately, does not have their obligation.
No, I understand.
His question is the state funds, do we have the state match for these funds?
Yeah, just so I'm clear. So what you're saying is we have the RDA money, we have the bond money, we have the Prop 39 money, and we have these specific state funds already, the $7.9 million.
Between now and 2024, yes.
And that totals 136 million, okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, please proceed. Thank you.
All right, where do we leave off?
We're on this slide right here,
Gotcha.
the orange slide, and they were reviewing the projects.
Yes.
We will talk with you and shortly about advancing some redevelopment dollars so we can do these projects alongside the projects we showed you on the green slide.
And so of these qualifying projects, they will eventually generate $18 million of state funding. These projects will modernize older campuses, create specialized learning environments for our career pathways, and further the visual and performing arts at one of our district's oldest campuses. Although we have spent time discussing our short-term need, our master plan also viewed long-term considerations for future spending. Items include enhanced science labs and the creation of middle school gymnasiums. A successful financial plan needs to address both the short-term and long-term need of the district. This 20-year cash flow analysis identifies available funding by revenue source against projected expenditures, depicted by the green line. You will notice the identified shortfall to your left that we discussed earlier, and you will also notice the impact of state bond sales on our long-term revenue, circled to your right. One of the contributing factors to the identified shortfall is the lack of current state bond sales.
And even with the state, the governor has shown he wants to advance sell bonds and move the sales forward. We do have quite a backlog of a wait at the state level. So we have Mr. Jason Chung here. He is the Vice President of Fieldman and Roll-Up. You know his colleague, Adam Bowery, could not be here this evening. And so I'm going to turn it over to Jason to talk about the revenues available for capital facility projects and advancing some funds.
Good evening, members of the board. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. I'll be going over the main financing sources, notably the general obligation bond issuances, state funding, and the successor agency revenues. So beginning on slide 18, we show providing the projected revenues from these three sources totaling $180 million over the next 10 years through year 2029.
Just to clarify on the page, on our page, I believe it's
Page
18. Is that what
Yes,
you're saying?
Yes,
Is
we
that what
just
it-
advanced it. Yes,
Okay.
sorry, we were behind.
On the page with the notes. The long, right, the one in portrait.
Good
Great.
there.
So slide 18 showing the three main funding buckets. And as you recall, voters in the district approved Measure N back in November 2012. Measure N approved a not to exceed amount of $250 million in general obligation bonds to be issued. And to this point, at this point, 4 series of bonds have been issued for $128 million. And currently there remains a balance of $120 million. And this $120 million is still authorized, but it just is yet to be unissued. And the main constraint from the district issuing these bonds is its Prop 39 tax rate. And as you recall, the district has a legal tax rate of $60 per 100,000, but its projected tax rate limit is only $55 per 100,000. And so GO bonds are really governed by their assessed value of future growth. And for the whole Measure N campaign, we've assumed a 4% growth in assessed value. That is basically projecting all of the taxable value within the district increases by 4% per year, which is very conservative. When you look at the district's 30-year history, it's 5.03%. And over the past 5 years, it's hovered around 6 to 7% each year. So when you have that compounding of growth of 6 to 7% over and over again, when the district has been projecting 4%, that lowers the future projected tax rate and increases capacity for additional bonds. So currently, the projection is $44 million in additional GO bond funding through 2029, and that's through 2 future series. But again, as assessed value continues to outperform our 4% projection, that $44 million will continue to grow higher. On bullet point 2, the district, as Tom had mentioned, the district expects to receive about $62 million in state funding through 2029, and that breakdown is provided in page 59 of your large booklet.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
And because it's just been my experience that it's boom and bust. I know you say that, you know, it's exceeding the projections, but at some point it's going to tank again. So if it does tank before we get to this 2029, what's the risk to the district?
The risk, the general obligation bonds, the reason that they're so safe is that they are ultimately repaid by whatever rate the county assessor needs to levy it at. So it's our job as your financial advisor to make projections that are conservative, but yet still capture the growth in the assessed value. So and it is expected, we've been in a very long expansionary period, it is expected to have a recession, but I think it's fair to say that a recession to the magnitude of what happened in 2009, 2010 would be pretty small. Of course, recession does result in lower taxable growth in the future, but there are, as Ms. Christakos had mentioned, a lot of development going on in the area. There is expected to be a lot of new families coming in, and that all leads to continued AV growth.
You're not answering my question, though.
I think he's referring to the RDA, so the risk with leveraging RDA or the successor agency.
Right.
That, okay.
So what happens if we don't get?
The RDAs are, it's similar tied to AV, where it's tied to the overall economic growth of the district. And the RDA revenues that we are showing are based on the most conservative assumption by the third-party provider, Public Economics.
I guess let me ask a different way. Is there any exposure to the district's general fund if this scenario doesn't pan out? Is there something that can happen where you say, what's your name?
Jason.
Jason was wrong, and it came in a lot lower than we thought. So now the money will have to come out of the general fund. Is there ever a possibility that's going to happen?
The COP financing is legally backed by the general fund. So yes, in the worst events of cases, in an apocalyptic scenario, there will be the chance that the general fund will be a target.
You just called it apocalyptic because you're under 50. People that live through it is not so much apocalyptic. It just happens.
Mr. Tillman, can I make a comment? So we do have a lot of healthy successor agency revenues through the RDA, these taxing agencies, and they are expected to retire in 26 years.
So
and they're set by law.
And that's the revenue we're dependent on.
That's right. And it's set in law that those revenues will continue to come in until that sunset date.
And it has nothing to do with the value of property.
It does have some AV. It is based on AV, and Jason can correct me if I'm wrong. I spent some time talking to our economist, but we use very, very conservative projections. And what we're asking the board to consider is only 75% of the projected future revenues, so that we are very cautious that should there be a downturn, we would still have enough money. And we also propose setting 2.5 to 3 years of payments set aside for any such case.
And how much money are we talking about a year?
That we receive?
Right.
We receive between 2.5 and 5 million a year.
It grows annually over time. Currently, we're in the $2 to $3 million range. In years 2029, it's roughly 5 to 7 million a year, but it fluctuates.
I have to be clear because I'm going to be the only board member still on the board at that time.
In 10 years.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tillman. Yes, and then Dr. Flores.
So this is another question. This is based on the release of matching money from the state also, right? I mean, it could accelerate given the governor's leadership. Right now, it's coming in slowly. However, if he recommends that we release more money to districts, then we would be receiving more money, correct?
So we have worked with our funding specialists. So yes, the long answer is yes. However, the backlog at the state is deep enough for projects that we are on the tail end of the receiving portion of Prop 51. So although the governor can speed up, and we're appreciative of his efforts to speed up bond sales, we are still years out from receiving our Prop 51 obligations.
So we're still a year out?
Years out.
Oh, years.
Years out.
Years, okay.
And one thing that we will bring back to the board in 10 years is, and we'll remember all of this, but that at that time, when the state releases the funds, because we're getting quite a bit of money at that time, we could pay off the COPs. They're putting a provision in for paying it off in 10 years, or we could continue to use those dollars to leverage state funds. As you know, our need is much greater than the funds we have on hand. And so that's something that we've asked them to build into the financing, that we could pay it off in 10 years if we needed to.
Okay, and if you could proceed, please.
And if I may to get, if I can mention to Danny Tillman, RDA funding that we anticipate receiving is on page 59 of your board book. It's the column in pink. You'll
And
see
it's 75%, Mr. Tillman.
Page 59 of your board book. That's showing a 75% of our anticipated revenue of RDA. It's the column in pink on the left-hand side.
All right, thank you.
And finishing up on slide 18, the final bullet, district expects to receive approximately $74 million in RDA funding by 2029. That is not a one-time receipt. That's actually a combined increasing annual revenues equaling that $74 million by 2029. On slide 19, we go into more detail on focusing on applying these successor agency revenues for upfront dollars for project costs. So the $74.3 million in anticipated revenue, that is again projected to be spread out over a number of years. And the district has looked at a scenario of using these expected revenues to finance a COP, or certificate of participation, to fund $65 million, which is the priority funding shortfall that Mrs. Christakos had mentioned earlier. And a COP, or a certificate of participation, is a similar financing vehicle to a GEOBond in that it provides upfront payments through a repayment source, but the main repayment source is not ad valorem taxpayer dollars. The COP's repayment source is the RDA revenues. So, and similar to the GEOBond process, the district will have to seek a credit rating. We will have to seek a board approval from you at a later date. We will also have to lock in interest rates on the market, which is very currently low at this time. And the district has also been very conservative in structuring these COPs. Based on the expected RDA revenue stream, much more than $65 million to be generated, but we're only looking at financing what we need to do too right now. So the $65 million COP would have what's called a debt service coverage of 150%. And so a 150% debt service coverage means that each year the district will have RDA revenues equal to at least 150% of the required principal and interest payments each year. And so that 50% excess coverage is really an extra layer of protection. And when that 50% is not used at the end of each year, the district will receive that in surplus revenues. And so that leads into the final bullet point. District, this $24 million is the sum of that expected annual surplus each year.
Okay, Mr. Tillman?
Just, I don't know what they're called, but a while ago we did some financing, but it was real crazy where, yeah, we're not doing any of those?
That was
They're not available.
That QSCB stands for Qualified School Construction Bond, and that is a form of a certificate of participation, but that was only an allowed financing vehicle during that time. Under President Obama's American Reinvestment and Recovery Act, that was known as a federal tax subsidized bond, where basically the district received an interest-free loan on funding that COP. And actually Measure N, a portion of those proceeds are used to fully repay that QSCB. So it's the district's general fund is not taking a hit for that.
My only question is, so we're not doing those or anything like that?
We are not.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
In summary, our master plan sets high standards for the creation of 21st century learning environments, addresses the potential of residential growth and demographic shifts within district boundaries, reduces the impacts from aging infrastructure, and creates a financial plan that maximizes the district's investment in students. Recommendations and solutions. As we move forward, we need to address our residential growth, localized residential growth, advance priority projects, close the funding gap to mitigate cash flow by leveraging future RDA funds, and evaluate and prioritize future identified need.
And board, before we go into our next steps, this may be an opportunity for our board subcommittee. We had Ms. Abigail Medina Rosales as part of the committee. We had Dr. Scott Wyatt and Mr. Mike Gallo. And then Ms. Rogers also was an alternative in the event that anyone couldn't make the subcommittee. If there's anything you want to comment on before we go into next steps.
Yes, and I actually had notes, but because of my computer, it did not download effectively, but I know there were several items on there. Thank you. And it's just a feedback quickly on, for instance, the facilities subcommittee met on 3 different occasions. Number 1, October 23rd, 2018. I got it, thank you, yes. November 26, 2018, January 14, 2019. Also part of the discussions that we had were the following. One was, of course, the master plan objectives, components of the master plan, facility funding overview, needs assessment, as was discussed today, board input on district facilities, residential growth studies and projections, educational specifications, cash flow analysis, short and long-term facility objectives, current projects, as well as review of individual master plans. Participants of these discussions included the following groups, which is the district financial advisors, 2 district master planning architect, chief business official, administrator of operations, and director of facilities. So those were our part of the discussions that we had during the subcommittee meeting. Yes. Yes, Mr. Tillman. Hold on.
And Mike,
So then if we can, but are we done with this piece? Because I think they were still, and then we're going to go ahead and done.
You wanted the subcommittee members to...
Yes, to comment, please. Yes.
Yeah.
And then so other committees.
Scott and I'm sure Scott's got a couple
And
of
then
comments,
Gwen
too.
is also part of, she's the
Yeah,
alternate.
one of the comments that I'd like to focus on is you see that stack of books that's in front of Tom there. We got the chance to go through all of the analysis and data and prioritization and assessments that were done on each and every one of our school facilities, and it's a massive amount of work. They engage the site administrators, their site councils, the school staff, et cetera, to prioritize those projects, first identify the projects, kind of drive them to the ground and provide pricing, costs, estimates, and right down to every single element of improvement that they proposed, and then prioritize based on the needs of the individual school facilities. So the amount of work that was done on this was tremendous, and I really got to commend you guys for this is probably the most comprehensive facilities assessment plan I've seen since I was back in the military. And it is a fabulous job that you guys did on this. And then I like the way that you went through a prioritization of these projects based on, those funds that you could garner some state support for, some matching fund dollars, some, grant dollars, et cetera, and kind of figuring out how we're going to fund some of this stuff. And we could exercise certain state funding to support those elements. And that was included in the prioritization of these, the green, orange, and blue programs that you see identified on the chart. So I really got to commend you guys for the amount of work that you've done. It is a ton of work that goes behind each one of these, and just to be able to pull up the data as succinctly as you did in this presentation is an accomplishment.
Thank you, Mr. Geller. Dr. Scott Wyatt, do you have any comments?
Absolutely, and I'll try to be brief, but to piggyback off what Mr. Gallo was saying in regards to that needs assessment, I've been fortunate to be a part of strategic planning at a district level and do needs assessments, and it was nowhere near the amount or the detail that was given into this plan. And I think one of my main concerns when we look at this is, making sure we keep our eye on the long-term vision and ensuring that we get to that point. Because right now I think it's easy to get caught up on and saying, wow, there's a shortfall right there. But, we look beyond and let's make sure it's 2029 to secure the funding and make sure that it's going to be there in the future. And then, I think that's something we have to focus on in regards to the financial security and our investment in our schools. In regards to the planning behind it and the designs and the architectural designs, all I can say is wow, they're absolutely amazing. And I wish everybody had the opportunity to see the renderings that we have of our schools and the plan behind it. And you know, it gets me excited as a board member and definitely as a community member in the city. You know, you've heard me say this often, that the school district will really lead the way of change and transformation in this city. And it's a huge investment in our kids and our community. So I'll be honest, I've been very fortunate to be a part of this team. And Mr. Pace, thank you for bringing us on board for this and having the board be a part of the decision-making process. And again, all the stakeholders that were involved throughout the district, and especially our parents and our students who are an active voice, and they're the ones that are in our schools. And I can only imagine the excitement for them when they get to go to these schools in the future and say, wow, look at where I'm going to school. And I know our plan is to create destination schools. We have a number of those already, but we want them to be schools of choice throughout the district, regardless of where you live, to have the opportunity to go to a beautiful, modernized school that shows we're investing in our children. So thank you for the plan.
Thank you, Dr. Scott Wyatt. Okay, so then with that, I think we're done with, so we can start with the board questions or comments. Mr. Tillman, if we can start on your end and then move down towards Dr. White.
And all the board can't be part of the committee, so I understand how that works. But my question, in the district right now, at the middle school and high school level, we don't have showers that work anymore? Is that the case? If it's not, you can get us the information, but.
No, I know that we have showers at the high school. I don't know if they're utilized or to what extent.
I've been told we don't have showers at middle schools, and I don't know about the high school level, but I heard we don't have showers at middle schools and some of the high schools. But to me, that's a big deal. I mean, when I went to middle school, we had showers, and with a lot of our student populations, I think showers would be a big deal at the site. So I would just like to hear what the status of the showers are and what it would cost to, of course, the board would have to agree that that's a priority for us, that we think that we want to have showers at our middle schools and high schools that are operational. For me, it is, and it'd be good to know, do we have it and what it would cost to get them to work? Because that's part of the prioritization. And to me, that's more important than some of the items I see on here. So I don't know what the cost is.
I guess it just depends on how it would be accessed. If it's more of privacy issues, I just don't want liability issues happening.
You didn't have showers when you went to school?
No, I didn't. I never experienced, so I didn't in middle
Well,
school.
maybe they don't anymore.
So I don't know. I mean, I would understand maybe for individuals who don't have access to showers. I mean, that would make
What's that?
sense. So then that would make sense, but I
Yes.
don't know how it would be for maybe individual stalls. I don't know how that would look like. I know that's something maybe further discussion.
We had a boys' gym.
Yeah, okay.
And a girls' gym, and Gwen pretends like she a lot younger than me, but
So there was. I mean.
Didn't you go to Airview, Gwen? No, they had them. I'm agreeing with you. Yeah. Oh yeah.
But did you use them?
Well, it'd be good to know that too. If they did take them off for liability, do some schools still have them? I think our district is a district that could benefit from having.
But when it comes
showers.
to individuals that don't have opportunity to shower at home, that makes sense.
Big deal.
That would make sense. Maybe
Yes.
having private stalls for those. Yes, of course.
Sure.
Okay, but thank you, Mr. Tillman. Mr. Gallo? Ms. Rogers?
I don't know. Did they, Danny, when you went to school?
We had showers.
I know.
Yeah. No, I didn't
Danny
like
never used
No,
them.
they did.
but,
I do know they did. I do know
I
they
didn't
did.
use them a lot because
You-
they had
you're
these
older
guys that
than
would
me.
do the towels like
No, I
this.
remember that.
Really?
I can still see them
I've
doing
seen
it
it
right
in
now.
movies, but I haven't.
No, they did. They
No, it
did.
wasn't
they
me.
Did. They did.
I've seen it in movies.
Okay, let's bring it back. Right, because they stopped the year he graduated. I just had a question, and I did get a chance to sit on as an alternate when Mike decided to be the Bionic Man, and I took over for a couple of meetings. But question on, so following on the orange and the green, and Mr. Tillman kind of touched on it a little bit. So when I was looking at, for example, full day kinder, so between the orange and the green, we're not saying that there's not funding for that via the state, but only because we didn't prioritize it into the green, or is it the opposite of what I said?
So quickly to touch on full day kinder. It's a new program that the state released in the last few months.
Right.
We had not worked it into the original plan.
Okay.
It is something that has come up in the previous few
Okay.
months. Knowing that it's
okay.
important and
Right.
knowing that early child care is
Mhm.
an initiative through the district,
Yeah.
we wanted to prioritize it and
And that's
label
kind-
it and show it.
Okay, and that's, you're answering my question, because I mean, since then, I know this has been a work in progress, but when I look, and then when I see modernization, that to me just goes to the top of the list versus something that is not a modernization or something that's not full-day kinder, because our schools are older. We have some older schools, small things, and kids are bigger these days and whatnot. So are we, at this point, is there leeway if as we're having discussion, to move something if it falls within the dollar amount? Are we looking at that flexibility in the conversation?
So you, are you talking about moving between the blue and the orange?
The green and the orange,
And
not the
so-
blue.
Okay.
Because if I was talking about the blue, you know what I'd ask
I know.
for.
So if you choose to have us move forward with the financing, we can do all the orange and all the green.
All the, yeah, right, with the financing.
Yes.
If we went forward with that, but if we did not.
If we did
Is what
not-
you're saying is, this green has been said that these are the main priorities right now?
That have been prioritized through a number of ways, but we can look at
But there could be-
reprioritizing.
There could be flexibility if we said we weren't going to go with plan number 2, and for example, we now know that full-day kinder or something like that is now at the top of the list of concerns as we grow.
Can I add something about the kinder? We're going to apply for the grants.
Okay.
And so we think we have a really good chance of getting those grants.
Okay.
But you still have to be approved.
So
Okay.
part of the reason that full day kinder lands in the orange
Mhm.
is the funding provided for the full day kinder barely scratches the surface of what would need to be required to provide the spaces under the grant agreement. Additionally, they're providing only $70 million in the next funding window for the entire state. As we apply, it is a competitive grant.
So,
The chances of us getting
I think we will.
qualifying
mhm.
are good, but we are still betting on the future.
So are you saying that in this, so this number that's here is even greater than what's here? Is that what you just
No,
said?
what I'm saying is the state has only set aside $70 million
Okay.
for
And
the
you
whole
would
state
be
in the next
applying-
funding window, and we're applying.
Would be one
However,
of the many.
One of many people applying for it.
Okay.
Our free and reduced lunch rate, amongst other factors, will most likely guarantee us at least a spot at the
Okay.
table,
Okay.
which is why we have the amount shown
Okay.
here.
Okay, but there is flexibility between
Oops,
green and
excuse me.
orange first before blue, and I think that was my question.
And then the governor's proposing even more funds in the budget, so we'll see how that comes out for early ed, including
And we would
TK
know that
kinder-
when?
June, or
June.
July, when it's
July.
adopted, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Dr. Hill?
Thank you, Madam President. To both of you, thanks so much in your committee, and apparently you had good representation from the board. I appreciate hearing the plan, and I like the long-term projection. I just jotted down a couple of questions that I was able to wait until the end to mention. Nothing personal, Mr. Tillman. Number one, on ADA compliance, I looked through that in the project, so we're okay there. We don't have to worry about that type of a lawsuit.
We
Or-
have,
and maybe you don't have to answer it, Tom. It's just that as long as you take a look at it. I think that's what's important.
it is one of the highest priorities as we look at projects is ADA access. It
Okay,
is a requirement of the state. When we touch something on campus, we are required to ensure that it meets ADA compliance.
All right, great. So that's nothing we have to worry about. I am concerned about the lights also in the modernization. I do hear from parents about, and community members about the lights, especially at the high schools. where their activity is going. So as long as that's included in the modernization. Now, as you plan for you're planning for the growth in the area, are we going to ever reconsider portables, or are we going to have a standard facility?
So I'm going to go back to your lights, and then I'll answer
Okay.
the...
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I have some good news for you.
Thank you.
This past Monday, we started the replacement of every light fixture at the high school level, starting at Cajon High School.
Wonderful.
By the end of this summer, every high school light will have been replaced with LED lighting.
Wonderful.
So, yes, that is a concern and priority of ours.
Thank
And,
you so much.
that is in the green section.
Okay,
As
great.
far as residential growth and mitigation of residential growth, our department believes firmly that we should teach in brick and mortar rather than in portables.
Good, thank you. That's my thinking. Now, I know on the east side of Walmart and Highland, there's a big area of land, and I think San Bernardino and Highland might still be fighting over that. It belongs to San Bernardino, so I'm hoping we are smart enough to keep it, because I think there's an opportunity for about 1,000 houses in that area, which will certainly have an impact at some point on our high school. So we have Sangagonia there, but are you looking at land or anything if there's a need to build an additional high school on the east side of town?
As part of our residential growth studies, we evaluated all options to mitigate residential growth. At the current time, we don't feel there's a need to purchase land for additional schools.
Okay, so you don't need to take a look at anything for a high school?
In the short term, no, ma'am.
Okay.
Within the next 20 years, there could be a possibility depending on potential residential growth.
All right, and my last question is on the redevelopment funds from the city. I know when Governor Brown asked that all the redevelopment money be turned in, I know that this school district was due either $2 or $3 million. Did we get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Good news. You gave me a lot of good news tonight, Tom. I might have to send you some flowers. Thank you.
I'll send them your way, ma'am.
Thank you, Dr. Hill. Dr. Flores?
Yes, I really want to thank you and the committee. This is superb. This is really incredible. I don't think, well, Danny and I were on the board when we built the 14 schools, and so we had a very strategic plan, and I'm glad that we focused on developing this plan, because if you don't have a plan, you don't know where you're going. And so it just, you know, and I recognize all the time and the effort, and also visually how you've presented it as well. It really is helpful, and I am very much in favor of the certificate of what do you call it? Participation, because we've participated in that, and it seems that the risk is low for us to support that in the long term. And just going back to Mrs. Rogers' comment on full-day kinder, it's real important. I know we have a track record, Dr. Marsden. We have a track record of full day, of extended day, full-day kindergarten. So I think that would be very much in our favor in terms of having that and applying for that grant. And the second question is, since we will be applying for grants, even though we have a master plan, and if we see a need down the road, we are going to be flexible, hopefully, that we can write other grants, like Dr. Hill said, you know, what if, you know, we need additional space for certain things? What if our pathways grow, you know, and we need that additional space? There is opportunity, correct, to apply for different grants?
Yes, ma'am. I would say that our master plan is not binary thinking. It's directional thinking. Allows for creativity, allows for flexibility, so that as priorities change and as we update on an annual basis,
As
we
go along.
go along, we know that priorities are going to shift. So
And-
we've tried to build in flexibility within the plan to address future need.
Right, because I did read this whole report. It was really, really incredible. And I saw that Arroyo principal was not there. It was Ken Martinez at the time, and we now have a new principal. So I'm just wondering, I didn't have privy to those books. I hope that you do interview, or have you interviewed Mr. Valenzuela in terms of their specific needs?
So I've met with him on various occasions to talk about the need of their campus. I can tell you that long-term, Arroyo Valley is eligible for modernization funding in 2028.
Okay.
So we have a long-term view of all of our campuses, including ones that are on the newer end.
Even though they're not here?
Correct.
Even though, okay, great. Because I know it's really important, and I just want to say to the public, I mean, we invested so much money in the building of new buildings and the modernization, and it's concrete, and it shows how we value our community and our kids to have clean, beautiful, and I mean beautiful buildings that accommodate, you know, our families and our kids. It's so important, and that speaks so highly, I think, of our district and for our community, because not only are they beautiful, they're also, we're working towards having them be, you know, centers of the community and also safe havens for our kids and our families. So I really thank you. It's tremendous work. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Dr. Flores. Dr. White?
No, no further comments, thank you.
Okay, great. All right,
Other than I wish we had more money for all our schools.
Yeah.
How's
Yeah.
that?
Well, thank you for the presentation. I would like to consider, as Mr. Tillman said, but this one's more on the needs basis for those that might be homeless or so forth that need to have showers as an option, so we can
Can
look at
we
that.
just quickly go to the next step slide, and I'll wrap it up really quickly?
Oh, I thought we were done.
Oh,
Okay.
we're almost there.
Okay.
So for the next board meeting, if we have consensus, we'd like to bring forward the adoption of the master plan and educational specifications. Of course, we have the copies of these reports in Mr. Pace's office for anyone that wasn't on the committee that wants to delve into them. We'd like your consideration of the facility financing plan, which would come to the next board meeting. And then Mr. Pace would create an implementation schedule for priority projects and share that with the board. And we'd continue to keep you updated annually with changes in eligibility and so forth.
Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you for your presentation, your hard work.
Thank you,
Oh.
Ms. Christakos and Tom Pace.
We do have a
appreciate that.
public comment.
We do have a public comment at this point, so board, if you don't have any further questions of staff, what we'll do is entertain the public comment. And then if you have further questions with staff, we'll go forward. There's no vote taken tonight on this item. Board welcomes Jason Kunas, Charles Tetlock, and Nancy Sanchez Spears. Welcome, good evening.
And thank you for your patience.
Yeah, thank you very much for your patience.
Good evening. So the topic of facilities, as we just heard, very lengthy. One of the future things that's on it is middle school gymnasiums. And so I've reached out amongst my colleagues here today, as well as other middle school teachers, high school teachers, and even elementary. And we all feel that there is a high priority. And the high priority is, as you know, we can believe or not believe about climate change, and it is hot, you know, for numerous days out of the year, and then this year we've had a rainy season, and we can consider that abnormal or not abnormal. However, we do get the inclement weather, and the district does tell us that we have to either modify activity. It's either going to be mild to moderate, it could be moderate to vigorous, or no vigorous activity at all. So a school like that I am at is Rodriguez Prep, which is 11 years old. I know it wasn't built as a middle school intentionally, but it does lack facilities. We have a portable locker room. We have no gymnasium. We don't have even facilities that other older schools have. So we're not even in the same playing field with, say, Rialto Unified or Redlands Unified or Colton that do have gymnasiums. And so we're seeing a rise in obesity as well. And so we're talking about lifelong fitness that these kids need to be exposed to. We have also a sports program that, you know, does have some access to some gymnasiums at some schools. Saying that, example, when Curtis was rebuilt, they did build a gymnasium when it never had one. And it's not on the same playing field, I guess you could say, with all the middle schools here in San Bernardino. So I'm going to turn it over at this time to Mr. Tetlock, who's also involved with the athletics, to speak about that.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
After watching the financial thing, I'm happy I only have to handle my checkbook. That's number one. Good luck. And I know you guys will do a good job on that. I'm on the athletic strategic plan with Dr. Volkemer, so I want to plug this real quick. I would like to thank you for giving the funding to us. You can see it's very nice to see through the district, the high schools, that things are happening. In fact, I shouldn't say just high schools, it's K through 12. Athletics are getting a big step up. It's nice to drive around Southern California and see high schools that have very nice facilities, and now being able to come back to San Bernardino and starting to see these things happening. So thank you for that. But one of the mottos for this athletic strategic plan is world class, and we are slowly getting there. And one of the things is getting facilities at the middle school level that we can have for sports, but even more importantly for physical education, with a good portion of our school year either in the heat or fending off weather. A lot of our indoor facilities are classrooms that handle 35, 36 students, and we're taking 40 to 50 inside a classroom trying to get something done PE-wise. And of course, everybody makes it happen, but we would like to get the facilities that are we should have for our classrooms for PE on rainy days, and a PE gymnasium, sports gymnasium would also go a long ways in helping that. If we have the right kind of vision and money, of course, we could get a gymnasium with extra classrooms and a fitness room and a weight room and things like that. So we'd like to keep going and thinking world class and hopefully making that happen someday and someday soon. I would like to thank Mr. Pace and his committee for putting middle school gyms and facilities on their report here. That was fantastic to see. And I know that it'll slowly start getting going, and of course, the best answer would be to have all this stuff yesterday, but I'm just glad that it's going to be brought up, and I know it'll eventually get done. So thanks for your time, and thanks for listening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I am glad that it's on the list. My displeasure is that there's no date. It's like someday, maybe, someday, maybe. I've been here 36 years, and someday maybe was 36 years ago. So I find it very, very disheartening that it's not a priority. If you consider just the heat of August, September, and October, we have students who are out there risking their lives in the heat because there's no place to go. If they go into a place where there's shade, they're very fortunate. Not all schools have enough shade for the students to be in. We're risking skin cancer. We're risking heat stroke. Just being there, they don't even have to be active, just being out in the sun can create those kind of hazards for their bodies. And then we have, with the heat, we have the pollution. So students who are sensitive, and we are having more and more students in San Bernardino who are sensitive to the air and the pollution, they're also aggravated. So we are creating a very, very unhealthy situation for our children in the courses that are supposed to be helping their health. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments, and this is very important for us to hear. And so it's, Ms. Rogers just asked me right before you did. So the thing is that this is really important for all of us, and just to hear you, all three of you come up is very important, so thank you for bringing this up. And then Ms. Rogers, and then from there, Ms. Dr. Flores.
So I just want to, I tried, Janie, I tried hard to stay out of the blue, but the blue is where those gymnasiums are at. And I brought it up before, and I do honestly feel that it is a priority. And when it first came to me, it came to me via a student. And what better advocate, what better person experiencing it? And it's a different weather condition than where we were a long time ago. And I would like to see, and that was one of the reasons why when I'm looking at the orange and the blue and the colors and, you know, the priorities of everything. But I really would like to see, because this is coming back to us, I would like to see it if we prioritize and move something else around and put the gymnasiums in there. I would hope, I don't know if I'll be on the board 36 years from now, but I don't want to have that be the legacy of that. It took another, 36 years. And so I would like to see that if the board is in agreement when we bring it back, let us see what could be moved around possibly is just as equally as important as all the other things, but that is modernization, and that is really bringing us to a modernization.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. Dr. Flores, and then from Dr. Flores, I think you still had comments? Or did you?
I thought she might have a question, so
Okay.
I was going to answer it if necessary.
It's a clarification, and it follows up with what Ms. Rogers said. And just to clarify, you guys are asking us to relook at the priorities and prioritize gymnasiums given the climate changes and the inclement weather that we have now. Is that correct?
Correct, and just to be on the same, facility-wise as all schools should be equal. So, example, I know some schools may have a little fitness room right now. So I could give you an example like Serrano. They have to share it, so you might have 3 teachers in the Great Hall while one's in a fitness room. So what kids are really being active, and that's the whole idea. We want our kids active and getting in a habit of, a healthy lifestyle daily.
So I might understand that in the meantime, say we do reprioritize and focus on gymnasiums, there's also a need in the interim to provide spaces, right?
Correct.
A space, a facility, or something so that will accommodate in terms of physical education.
Right, because you may have some situations where some schools, the kids are in the locker room and
Right.
they're not doing anything, even minimal activity.
So this would be for middle schools? Because
Correct.
I think we have gymnasiums in all the high schools, correct?
Correct.
Yes, so you're addressing middle school needs.
Right,
Okay,
because we
all
have
right.
3 middle schools with
Okay.
gymnasiums out of 11.
I would be, Ms. Rogers, I support your recommendation for our staff to go and look to see what the priority, if we could prioritize or what we could as well to look at that. Because I know it is an issue because parents and kids have said, it's so hot, how come we have to go out there? It's 108, it's 104, 103, et cetera. So
Not
thank you
including
for
the
coming.
blacktop.
Yeah, it feels like that, yeah. Thank you for coming and for, bringing it to our attention.
Thank you for your time.
All right, and Dr. Wyatt?
Thank you, Madam President. And then to go along with the request from our folks from our middle schools, this question will be for you, Janie, in regards to our blue category, as Ms. Rogers is calling it. We have a future master plan consideration for our middle school gymnasiums of $30 million, and so would that be able to pay for the 8 middle schools that do not have gymnasiums? Is that taken into consideration? I'm just wondering, is that the
So
figure we're looking at?
there's no state funding for these middle school gymnasiums. Mr. Pace can better answer, but he did look at some alternatives because they can be quite expensive, and there's some really nice modular gymnasiums that they're very, very nice. But I believe that's what you priced, isn't it, Mr. Pace?
Yes, ma'am. Part of the consideration of the master plan is looking at leveraging local dollars. Unfortunately, adding square footage does not qualify under the modernization program. We currently do not have any available state funding for middle school gymnasiums. We recognize the need. We're willing to look at priorities from the board as we serve at the board's direction, but understand as we remove projects that qualify for state funding, we may be replacing them with projects that do not.
And one consideration moving forward is future bond sales. So that's when the district can look at very specific areas that they may want to fund through future bond sales. And so we'd have to talk with our financial advisors on when additional dollars would be available after our next bond issuances.
All right, thank you.
Okay,
so
and,
much.
I have a question.
Wait, hold on,
wait.
Dr. Wyatt still, and then Dr. Flores, Mr. Gallo will.
Well, and this just kind of piggybacks off what Mr. Tillman was saying earlier. You know, I just think about when I went to middle school, and I know we had a gymnasium and we had showers, and there's probably guys out that were snapping the towels, Danny, that didn't use the showers. But anyway, so I think it's a priority to me as well. And then I see another area in the blue, which is our multi-use rooms, and I'm wondering, is there any way we can combine the two? I don't know, if we could use multi-use rooms as gymnasiums, if there's a configuration for that to help us save money, because between the two, we're looking at $75 million. It's a lot of money, so I'm just wondering, is there plans out there that maybe we can do both at the same time?
So the multi-use rooms listed under the blue category primarily fall on elementary school.
Elementary schools.
We have some very old MU rooms that need additional love as well.
Gotcha. And I just happened to be researching this last week, and so I always get excited thinking about our middle schools. And of course, I told Dr. Perez I wouldn't bring it up, but sheds, I'll just say that. And I came up on a website, and it's called Prefast. I don't know if you've seen that. I'm sure you have, Tom, because you're up to speed on everything. But
We actually have several prefast buildings within the district.
Oh, I'll have to go see them.
Middle College is one of them.
Oh, fantastic. And are those cost effective?
Little Mountain. In the end, they were not for us.
Oh, okay. Good to know. Thank you.
All right, then, Mr. Gallo?
Yeah, just for clarification, Tom, you priced in as part of the $30 million this kind of alternative modularized type gymnasium, right?
We gave a broad range, but yes, it factors in that.
So that's about the lowest cost you think you're going to be able to
Yes, sir.
do these for. And they do not qualify for any state match.
Currently, no, sir.
And so if you were to pull something off of the green or orange, you could be leaving dollars on the table for matching funds in favor of something that you'd be actually paying for completely ourselves.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, then Dr. Flores, and then Mr. Tillman.
Okay. What I think I heard is that in the meantime, they also need facilities to accommodate our kids. So I wonder if we could price or see what it would cost, to see if they could have places where they could, get out of the heat, out of the rain, so that they could, do the physical ed. Because long range would be, like Janie said, bonds and so forth, to look forward in terms of gymnasiums. But in the interim, I'm hearing that our kids need spaces where they can be safe from the heat and the rain, so that they can, do their physical ed. So I would recommend that you look into that to see what is available or and how much it costs. Yeah.
I would say that each one of our facilities is created unequal.
Yes, I know.
And that we ought to prioritize our middle school needs from worst
to okay, yeah.
moving up, and that as we evaluate our revenue on a yearly basis, that
we could look at that.
that we
Okay.
can look at that priority list and work at working them into our current workload. But
Okay.
yes, we can and will look at what we can do at each site, and we can meet with the sites individually.
Yeah, thank you, Tom.
All right, and Mr. Tillman?
Yeah, I think I have a solution. I mean, and I understand what the concern is. The blue stuff are items that you don't get matching funds for the most part, right?
I would say that in any master plan, your need exceeds your ability to pay for your
No,
need.
that's not the question I'm asking though. It sounds like you think you can maximize the dollars by getting matching state funds.
Yes, sir.
And for middle school gymnasiums, you can't not get matching state funds.
Correct.
So it's total cost from the district. So I think the good thing about something like a gymnasium, it's a one-time cost. So I think what we should do is we should tell Ms. Christakis, she can give us her projected ending balance at the beginning of the budget process, and whatever's over and above that, when we close out the books, then they have to give us $10 million of one-time money out of that. And that would work. That'd be your fix. Yeah. Well, you could, and I mean, you can go higher than that, but at least, like, I don't know, I think this year's projected ending balance was, at the beginning of the year, was $65 million. So if we get unrestricted ending balance, $10 to $20 million higher than that, we could take $10 million and put it towards building the schools, the gyms.
Well, your suggestion made me think of another good idea, and that could include some of the redevelopment that we're not leveraging as we set some of those dollars aside, because you'll recall we're setting aside 75%. Some we want to put aside for restricted maintenance needs as part of this needs assessment. So we could prioritize, we can bring the list of facilities, the ones with the greatest needs, and start to go through those middle school gymnasiums and look at some of the redevelopment dollars that are meant for facilities.
But you don't want to do anything with the identified ending balance over and above what you projected. That's what I thought. But it is something we can consider. It is something we can consider because a portion of that money is unallocated and unrestricted. So you could use some of that money to do that. We actually, that's actually how part of the funding for Royal Valley came from ending balance money when we built Royal Valley, like $20 million. So there is money that can be realized at some point.
All right, great. Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Madam President,
yes.
Is this, I know this has been a pretty robust conversation. We'll have to look at our action items later. And I was talking with Dr. Flores right now on sidebar because of Danny. Is this something we want to agendize and literally move up to a top 10 item?
So they will be bringing back the recommendations on what we can look at, and so that would be something that Janie and the whole department will look at, and especially since she mentioned another option.
Okay.
And then looking into what Mr. Tillman mentioned as well. So
All
that
right.
way we can look at middle school gymnasium as one of the top priorities for the district.
Thank you,
Extra
Madam
funding.
President. And
All right.
hopefully
thank
that's
you.
good news to our middle school folks
Yes.
that showed up tonight. So.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I
Thank
guess
you,
that's
Mr.
it for the
Stockos.
presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Pace and
Thank
team.
you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, great job, great job. And also thank you to our coaches, the people that work in the sports department, so thank you. 9.0, reports and comments. 9.1, reports by San Bernardino Teachers Association.
No comment.
Okay, 9.2, report by California School Employees Association. We have Carl Greenwood. Is he here present?
No comment.
Okay. I see him moving forward.
I
so see him.
apologize. He is here. Very good. Didn't see him hiding. Come on in.
Good evening, board members. Tonight,
evening.
I've asked Carl if I could speak to you on a subject that I hold close to my heart, which is our custodial staff. And I have a large staff in our district, as you can see, that are 10-month employees. which are affecting the cleanliness of our sites, and they are all wanting to be 12-month employees. I know this is a hot topic within maintenance and operations and the custodians. They want to give you their best, but they're not able to achieve it. And so part of the disheartening part of it is most of them that are 10 months, like for the Christmas break, they were off majority of the Christmas break. They came back for the last 3 days before school starts. Then you get quality control that comes in and gives them a 5-star review, but it's technically not a 5-star review. They're knocked on, dusting that's not done, walls that aren't clean, floors that can't be polished. The things that you guys are talking about tonight are the cleanliness of our schools. I have at my school myself, we're a custodial staff of 9. We have 2 custodians that are 9 months. We're asking you guys to get rid of these positions and make them all 12 months so that we can service our students, so that they are getting the best in our district. I appreciate you guys listening to me this evening.
Thank you. Tell
All
the
right,
board
great,
your
thank
name,
you.
if you would, please.
Jenny Peterson.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carl.
Okay, thank you both. Let's go to 9.3, report by Communication Workers of America.
I do see Ms. Hunter making her way.
Okay, great.
Ooh, marathon. Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I'm Teresa Hunter with CWA 9588. I'm just here to present the reopener for our contract for one article and wages, and that is it.
Very good.
Okay,
Well,
great.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Okay, thank you.
9.4, report by San Bernardino School Police Officers Association. Do we have any comments?
I see no
Okay,
report.
see none. 9.5, comments by board members, and I will start with Dr. Wyatt and then move this way.
Well, thank you, Madam President. I'll try to be as brief as possible. Definitely been a couple busy weeks lately. I know most of us on the board here have been attending a number of different events, and I was just very fortunate to be able to attend a few, and one of them that I really enjoyed was our LCAP meeting. And I just wanted to thank our folks that hosted the LCAP meeting, that set the LCAP meeting, and just the structure of it, which I thought was pretty amazing. I participated in a number of LCAP meetings myself, and when I walked away from there, I just really enjoyed the engagement of getting to go from station to station, and how quickly it moved. It was very well organized, and we were able to cover a lot of information real quickly. In our community and our LCAP folks that were there were able to see what we do. I mean, it was really kind of a nice fair kind of style where you got to visit booths and see a little bit of talent of each particular service we offer, which there were many booths. And so my hat's off to them as well as our community for being there. I got to go see Honor Band and Honor Orchestra, and wow, is all I could say. We talk about our VAPA programs, Visual Performing Arts, to see our elementary, middle school, and high school students, just an outstanding job that they've done, as well as our staff with teaching our kids. And then, just saw recently that our percussion band just was in a competition, took first place. So awesome job there. So, I love seeing that balance in our district between academic excellence, our visual performing arts, our athletic programs we're talking about. And so just as a board member, really did enjoy that. The only thing I brought up is that, we appreciate Pacific High School hosting those events, but I was like, can we get into our new theater? We get this brand new theater right here that is absolutely amazing, and I want our community to be able to enjoy that, to be able to come see and be a part of this theater and see where our money's being invested. We're talking about those things right now. And so they told me it's just that maybe it wasn't big enough. And I said, darn, it's not big enough. But good to know we're having that many people coming to our events. Our theater here, I think, holds 500 people. So if that's the max on it, then we should pack it and entertain our community and our brand new theater for our visual performing arts. But other than that, outstanding events. That's all I could say, and thank you very much.
Dr. Flores?
Yes, thank you. I want to thank the cabinet for all the BCs. Greatly appreciate it in terms of the things that, information that you give us. Just want to comment to my fellow board members that I attended the Latino Task Force this past February on Monday. I just want to say that I'm glad that we'll be on task, Dr. Marsden, that we'll be moving forward with the Latino Task Force, so that it is completed, and that you did listen to the members. I did also attend LCAP, and LCAP, Dr. Mitchell, you were ill, but you would have been really happy with your all your staff that is under you, because they had little, how would you say, corners or tables where all the community members and parents could go to, and it was so. I mean, as I walked around, board members, you would be very proud of the participation of our community and so forth. And Doug Reeves, Dr. Reeves, spoke first, and then two of his colleagues were there. And so that was very, very good. And what they're going to do is they're going to take all the recommendations and juxtapose them to the ones that we have. It was updating the LCAP and so forth. So we're going to next time have all that available. I didn't write down the date of the next one, but the next Latino Task Force is March 18th, so it's on a Monday. So I look forward to that. And I went to DLAC on Friday, the DLAC meeting from 9:30 to 11:30, and Dr. Monares presented to the DLAC on TSSP. And I have to say that she did it in Spanish, her second language. It was phenomenal. I congratulate you. It was very good. It was very well received in terms of, the plan, the strategic plan that we're moving forward. So I want to commend you, Dr. Monares, for that. And President Medina, I don't remember, I don't know, Dr. Volkmer, if you wrote this down or not, but that we were going to agendize the African American History B and the Latino History B as a district and board initiative. Did we do that?
So we were going to agendize it until we were, what they were going to do is they're going to provide